Singapore. Let's be real, it's undeniably one of the most expensive cities on the planet. But hidden right in plain sight, inside its highly regulated property system is literally one of the most powerful wealth-building machines ever designed for ordinary people. Welcome to the first part of this explainer series. Today we're kicking off a multi-part journey that's going to show you exactly how a young couple with a totally average income can start with a subsidized government flat and eventually end up owning a landed home worth millions of dollars. We're talking about building true multi-generational wealth here.
Now, right off the bat, I want to be super clear about what this is not. This is definitely not some speculative get-rich-quick scheme. No way. What we're looking at is a highly structured 15 to 20-year roadmap. It's proven, it's completely legal, and it's a strategy that's currently being used by thousands of savvy locals to absolutely transform their financial futures.
Okay, let's dive into this and look at the ultimate end goal. By carefully following the strategy we're going to lay out for you, an average couple can unlock over $1.5 million in property equity by the time they hit their late 40s. That is pure equity. It's enough to purchase a highly coveted landed home on this tiny island and leave a permanent legacy for your children and grandchildren.
Part 1. Meet Alex and May.
You know, to really wrap our heads around how these macro numbers work, we need a micro story. So I want you to meet Alex, a 28-year-old engineer, and May, a 27-year-old teacher. They're freshly married, standing at the very beginning of their financial lives, and just staring up at that huge property ladder. Together, they pull in a combined income of $8,500 a month. They've managed to scrape together $30,000 in cash savings, and they have $60,000 sitting in their CPF or Central Provident Fund accounts. That's Singapore's mandatory Social Security savings scheme that you can use for housing. The big takeaway here, you absolutely do not need to be rich to start this journey. You just need a plan, some discipline, and a solid understanding of the rules of the game.
And the beating heart of that plan? It's a strategy known as asset progression. Think of this as the art of recycling your property profits so you can climb the property ladder, step by step. It's all about never, ever letting your equity just sit there idle. Every single time your property appreciates, you capture that profit and roll it forward to fuel your jump to the next, much more valuable rung of the ladder.
Part 2. The 5-step property ladder.
And this brilliantly illustrates exactly how we climb the 5 rungs of Singapore's property ladder. Rung 1 is the BTO flat. This is your very first home, bought directly from the government at a highly subsidized price. Then, Rung 2 is the resale HDB, which is a strategic public housing upgrade using the profits you made from that initial BTO sale. Rung 3 is where things get really exciting, the executive condominium or EC. It's a brilliant hybrid of public and private housing that acts like a massive wealth accelerator, mostly because it's subsidized at launch but fully privatizes after 10 years. Rung 4 is the private condominium, where you finally enter the completely unrestricted open market with maximum flexibility. And lastly, the ultimate endgame, Rung 5, landed property. We're talking a terrace house, semi-detached or bungalow sitting directly on that incredibly scarce Singapore soil. The whole system is just so elegant. Each step completely funds the next.
Now, you might be sitting there thinking, okay, this sounds amazing, but can I really rely on property values just going up forever, right? It is the multi-million-dollar question. To answer it, we have to look at the unique macroeconomic realities that make this system work so reliably, specifically here in Singapore.
Well, there are 3 unshakable pillars supporting this market. First up is absolute scarcity. Singapore is literally just 733 square kilometers. It cannot physically expand, meaning every single piece of dirt is profoundly precious. Second is constant demand. The country is always actively bringing in global talent, which drives this endless guaranteed need for housing. And the third pillar, surgical government management. I want you to think of the government like a hyper-vigilant referee in a really intense sports match. They actively step in with strict cooling measures the second things get too hot, just to prevent housing bubbles. But at the same time, they deploy targeted subsidies to ensure entry-level buyers can still get their foot in the door. The result of all this? The Singapore property market has never experienced a prolonged collapse.
To put that into perspective, the sheer scale of the historical growth here is mind-blowing. Over the last 30 years, and yeah, that includes massive financial crises and global pandemics, Singapore's private property prices have surged by more than 400%. Because of those 3 unshakable pillars we just talked about, the long-term trajectory has just consistently and aggressively pushed upwards.
And hey,
It's not just the fancy private luxury market that gets to reap the rewards. Even public HDB flats, which, remember, are strictly leasehold and come with some pretty heavy occupation rules, regularly deliver massive profits to first-time buyers. The entire system is literally engineered for ordinary wage earners like Alex and May to win. That is, provided they start at rung one and know exactly how to play the rules to their advantage.
Part 3. Your roadmap to riches. So we've covered the big picture, but the real magic, that's all in the execution. Let's look at how this journey actually unfolds across a real-world timeline spanning roughly 2 decades. Years 0 to 2 are all about financial prep and securing that crucial first BTO flat. Then, years 2 to 11 cover the construction phase, surviving your minimum occupation period, or MOP, which is the mandatory 5 years you have to live in your public flat. And finally, harvesting your first major profit. Moving on, years 11 to 17 are absolutely critical. This is where you navigate some tricky tax traps and enter that wealth-accelerating executive condominium phase we mentioned earlier. Finally, years 17 to 25 cover holding private properties for maximum yield, timing the market perfectly, and securing your landed legacy.
We have honestly just scratched the surface today of how a modest income can literally be transformed into millions. The specific mechanics of your CPF, income ceilings, and all those financing hurdles really dictate your success, and the knowledge required to navigate them is worth its weight in gold. Seriously, bookmark this Explainer series because in our next installment, we're diving deep into capital preparation, which is exactly how you build that initial financial foundation. The Singapore property machine is moving right now, with or without you. The only question is, are you ready to get on board?